You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Bible Guys. We're so glad that you decided to tune in and join us for another episode.
Oh, man, this is going to be maybe the highlight of their next 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Right here.
The highlight of the next 24 and a half minutes.
It's going to be incredible.
Yes.
So,
and today we're in the middle of a series that we're having about Jesus, and we're saying, what if Jesus had a podcast?
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about all the famous sayings that he has done, and today's saying is, be dressed and ready for service.
woo, okay.
How about that?
Get ready.
Yeah.
People get ready.
People get ready. But before we get into that, we have a news article.
Only the finest news.
Yes.
We scour the internet and always come back to the same Babylon
News
Bee.
source, yeah.
Only the most trustworthy news sources. And so this is from the Babylon Bee, July 9th. If you've never read the Babylon Bee, it's a satire website. Very, very funny. And it says here, man's faith in God shaken after prayer for lightsaber goes unanswered.
It's so good.
We just talked about this.
And then there's a picture of this guy who's like
he's praying
fervently.
It says, Huntsville, Alabama, local man Brad Sharp had his faith in God shaken to its core after his prayer for a real functioning lightsaber went unanswered. How could a good, loving, all-powerful God not give me a lightsaber? Sighed Sharp, staring at the sky. Where are you, God? Are you even listening? According to sources, Sharp prayed for God to grant him a lightsaber not once, but 3 times. Yet, Sharp was met with nothing but silence from the Lord, prompting something of an existential crisis. It's tough to reconcile belief in an omnipotent, beneficent God with not getting a lightsaber, said Sharp's friend Kevin Darno, especially if you specifically asked for one. He's taken it pretty hard, and it's causing him to question a lot of his beliefs. He really wanted that lightsaber. At publishing time, Sharp's faith in God had again been tested as he failed to bench press 500 pounds despite wearing a Philippians 4:13 bracelet.
That is a great add-on, isn't it? Despite wearing a Philippians 4:13 bracelet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the funniest things. When I went to Bible college, they had a poster in the weight room, which was barely a weight room,
right.
And it said Philippians 4:13, and there was a picture of a bodybuilder named Rich Gaspari, and he was this massive guy, and he just held up this it was picture him bench pressing, and it said Philippians 4:13, I can do all things, and the all was capital all,
right
through Christ who strengthens me. And I thought, I can't believe at a Bible college that we hung up a poster that it just took the verse out of context completely. And here it is. It's right,
it's right there.
The article is making fun of it.
Well, we talked just a couple days ago, if you missed it, on the podcast. We talked about the fact that, yes, Jesus promises that God will answer all of our prayers, but he brackets it with, we have to be on his mission, and it's to bring glory to God. Right? Those are the two things. And so that's kind of this article is kind of making fun of this idea that you can just have anything you want from God. Right. Lightsabers and 500-pound bench presses.
How could a God be all loving and all good and not give me a specific functioning lightsaber? By the way, can you imagine having a functional lightsaber?
I think we'd get in trouble with it.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Don't you think?
It's sort of like the ultimate weapon. It goes through everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say I would rather have a laser gun than a
laser sword.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, because you don't want hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we can get you across the room.
Right.
So,
okay.
There's that. Anyways, that has nothing to do with anything.
No, it doesn't. It's just fun.
Uh-huh.
By the way, Babylon Bee, in my opinion, is it's that sophisticated. Now, today wasn't as sophisticated, but it's that sophisticated kind of humor.
Very funny.
That makes me laugh like twice as hard.
Yeah.
It's just like not quite in your face.
Yeah,
it's
they're
really good.
they're great, and if you haven't ever been on their website, they do a lot of funny politics on both sides of the aisle.
Yep.
So don't get worked up about it. They make fun of everybody. They do a lot of social commentary. Very, very, very funny stuff. So I enjoy the Babylon Bee. So
speaking of enjoying things, you know what I enjoy?
Getting dressed up.
I was going to say Jesus.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
But yeah, you're getting dressed up. Yeah, actually, I don't
You do?
enjoy. I don't enjoy getting.
You
dressed
don't
up.
like? You don't enjoy getting dressed up?
No.
No.
No,
I would have thought you would be like kind of a fancy boy. You'd like to get all dressed up.
no, that's you. You love that, but I don't love it at all. I actually, I'm like if I had like millions of dollars, I'd be the millionaire with Velcro shoes.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever seen a millionaire with Velcro shoes?
yeah, that's true.
That's what they do. And the millionaires today are different than they were 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? Back then, everybody was fancy schmancy. Yeah. But today...
I think it was Mark Cuban. I read a thing. Mark Cuban was talking about when you walk into a business meeting,
yeah,
don't pay attention to the high-powered people in suits across the table from you. Look for the guy who's wearing sweatpants and tennis shoes in the corner, and that's the one with the power.
Yep.
Because he said, I've done all the work. I don't have to dress like they dress. I can dress however I want to dress.
Right. That's right. Yep.
And he said that's the one with the most power, right?
That's it.
He said leisure pants, as we said. I think he said like Lululemons or something. I can't remember what he said, but yeah.
Have you ever gone to downtown Detroit and seen what's the headquarters of Ford where it started? Where's that at? But the big one, you know, where it started all.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, they have this massive photo, right? And it's like it's the size of the entire wall. And they had taken a picture of all the men working in the Ford plant in the whatever it was. 30,
oh, yeah.
30s, right?
Dress pants, dress shirts.
No, dude, 3-piece suits.
Yeah.
Like not dress pants, dress shirts. No.
They're coming to work in their...
They're coming to work in suits. Now think about it. Back then, no air conditioning, right? You know, probably in the summer, it looked like a very nice day. I'm thinking to myself, everybody back then smelled so bad. It's the only thing I can think of. They're all together. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was in the middle of that crowd, I would probably physically and literally pass out because it smelled so bad.
Really? So I we had to wear suits and ties to class when in seminary and all that kind of stuff, right?
I did too.
I didn't mind it. I don't mind wearing a tie. I don't mind wearing a suit. You get overheated really easy.
Oh, it's way more than that.
So
it's uncomfortability.
I run hot. Well, you hate being uncomfortable, and I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Like I don't think about the fact I got a tie around my neck. I don't think about the fact that I got an extra jacket on, or I'm wearing a vest. None of that stuff bothers me. See, I don't like it. But I do like the accessories.
Yeah.
I like a nice pair of cufflinks.
When I come home from work, I almost always immediately jump into pajamas.
Yeah. You told me that before.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I want to get comfortable. If I'm not doing something where I know I have to go back out, or go on the back porch, or go in the backyard.
Comfort's a high value.
Why would you not be comfortable? Why? Why would you not?
I don't know that I have an awareness that I'm not comfortable. That's what I'm saying.
But you're way more comfortable with those kinds of clothes on. So you're like, oh, it's just so comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. So I like a nice tie. I like good cufflinks. I like a nice matching watch. Right now, as a matter of fact, on my list of exorbitantly expensive, stupid things that I want a Mont Blanc logoed cufflinks.
Well.
Yeah, they're stupid expensive, right? I don't need them.
Right.
Yeah, I could plan a church for what it would cost me to buy a pair of those cufflinks.
Wow.
They're like $350 or some dumb thing, but
yeah.
It's just, I like it. I don't have any reason to dress up. Anyways, Jesus says to dress up, Chris. You should just do what Jesus says to do.
He does. Right? Is that what got us there?
Yes.
That was like 2 minutes of rambling.
Yes, it was 4 minutes, I think. But here we are in Luke chapter 12. It says this in verse 35. Be dressed for service and keep your lamps burning, as though you were waiting for your master to return from the wedding feast. And then you'll be ready to open the door and let him in the moment he arrives and knocks. The servants who are ready and waiting for his return will be rewarded, and I tell you the truth, he himself will seat them. Put on an apron and serve them as they sit and eat. He may come in the middle of the night or just before dawn, but whenever he comes, he will reward the servants who are ready. What verse are we ending? Oh, yeah,
48.
We'll keep going. Understand this, if a homeowner knew exactly when a burglar was coming, he would not permit his house to be broken into. You also must be ready all the time, for the Son of Man will come when least expected. Peter asked, Lord, is that illustration just for us or for everyone? The Lord replied, a faithful, sensible servant is one to whom the master can give the responsibility of managing his other household servants and feeding them. If the master returns and finds that the servant has done a good job, there will be a reward. And I tell you the truth, the master will put that servant in charge of all he owns. But what if the servant thinks, my master won't be back for a while, and he begins beating the other servants, partying and getting drunk? The master will return unannounced and unexpected, and he will cut the servant in pieces and banish him with the unfaithful.
Zoinks.
And a servant who knows what the master wants but isn't prepared and doesn't carry out those instructions will be severely punished. But someone who does not know and then does something wrong will be punished only lightly. When someone has been given much, much will be required in return. And when someone has been entrusted with much, even more will be required. Ooh, man.
Wow.
That's a tough one.
You know what I'm not going to do?
Start at the end?
You start at the end.
I knew. So you're going back going, what did we talk about at the beginning?
I
love that. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, I mentioned the fact that normally Zarbal jumps in and talks about the last thing we talked about first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but again, this is the striking thing at the end, right?
Sure, yeah.
At the beginning, it's
be dressed for service. He's coming back in any minute.
Yeah, it's not as hot topic as the end, right? I start at the
Go
hot
ahead.
topic.
You know you want to. You want to.
Cutting in pieces, really? Good gravy! Wow.
Yeah.
And then he says,
rough.
at the very end, when someone has been given much, much will be required in return. When someone has been entrusted with much, even more will be required.
Yeah.
So the responsibility factor of God entrusting us comes with a pretty sober warning here.
Yeah.
Right? And so, it really should sort of give you a fear of God in a pretty good, healthy way.
Well, for me, I read that and it's inspiring to me because now he sets a bar that I want to achieve.
Yeah.
He says, if I've given you a lot, I'm going to expect a lot from you.
Yeah.
And so I feel motivated not to just coast.
Well,
I feel like God's given me so many advantages and so many blessings and so much favor that I feel like it's an inspiration to me to think, okay, it's not just for me to consume. To whom much is given, much is going to be required.
Yeah.
I want to give him as much as I can back.
And I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to get drunk and beat up servants.
Yeah.
Right. So there's not that really big fear in me.
Yeah.
So I think I'm good.
So I worked for, at the time, one of the richest men in Michigan back when I was in college. I worked the whole summer on one of his estates. And he owned a lot of land. We had a farm, a 250-acre cattle breeding operation right next door to a 250-year-old historic estate. It was like a 12,000 square foot log cabin out in the woods that I think it was the Anheuser family had built as a hunting place.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And he built it. It's just, so it's this historically beautiful, just really great thing. And then he had about 200 acres of essentially, finely trimmed hedges, and he had a giant, probably 20-acre formal gardens, and so we're constantly planting and trimming and doing all these things. It's really great. So it was 3 college guys, and on the estate side, there was an adult man, 2 adult men that were our bosses, and those guys, they made good money. They made really good money. They were horticulturalists by degree. Right, the guy who ran the cattle breeding operation had a PhD. Right, these guys were geniuses. They were paid very, 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 very well. Our boss on the landscaping side was a full-on jerk, like just a jerk. But he acted like king of the world, super nice guy when the owner was around.
Right.
But he would disappear for sometimes days at a time.
Wow.
Days at a time, where we wouldn't see him. We'd see him when we showed up on the property. He'd give everybody their work for the day, and then he'd be gone all day. Well, then we found out he would just go into town, hang out at the diner. He'd go to his girlfriend's house, this crazy stuff. So, and then we found out he had built a place for taking naps and all this kind of stuff. He had an alarm clock, the whole 9 yards, up in a loft in one of the big barns. We couldn't find him. Finally, we stumble and we find him. We're like, dude, you're going to get in trouble for that, whatever. So the boss, the owner, had a helicopter. And sometimes, he wouldn't tell us he was coming. Obviously, come in and land like this. He came in and immediately he asked for that guy. Well, we had all just seen him. He had empty bottles all around him up in this loft where he was taking that. And he was sound asleep when the owner come in and fired him on the spot. Told him off. The whole thing. And one of the young guys, it wasn't a teenage guy, college guy, he's a couple years older than me. He'd worked there for several summers. the owner immediately turned to him and said, okay, you're in charge for the rest of the summer, and put this college guy in charge, gave him a huge pay raise, and fired this guy who was making a small fortune to just manage a rich man's estate. It wasn't a hard job.
Right.
Right? He had all the help, all these things, but he's just sitting around drinking and drink himself to sleep.
Wow.
And so I actually saw this happen. He didn't cut him to pieces, but
Right.
that would have been kind of cool.
But he did verbally.
Oh, he shredded him. Yeah. Kicked him off the property. And this guy lost a cake job over the fact that he just didn't believe the owner was going to show up.
Wow.
Right? It just happened suddenly.
Wow. And what a dramatic entrance, too, on a helicopter.
Oh, he'd come in every time. Every time he come in on a helicopter. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So this is very similar to what we read, 2 days ago?
Yeah, a few days ago when he was saying, hey, you got to be ready. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a verse here. It says, the kingdom seekers prepare themselves to offer whatever service God requires. They keep their lamps lit, ready to welcome him without delay. Jesus repeatedly said that he would leave this world but would return at some future time. He also said that a kingdom was being prepared for his followers. And so a lot of Greeks envision this as a celestial, idealized spiritual kingdom. Jews, like Isaiah and John, the writer of Revelation, understood that it would be a restored earthly kingdom. So it's kind of both, right? He's talking about Jesus is going to come back. He's going to set up his kingdom here on earth. We have to be physically ready. And then there's the spiritual side of it, that we have to be ready spiritually for him because of eternity. And both of those things are true simultaneously. And then what happens is the master shows up and he's going to reward faithful servants, ready servants. And so, I think we have this sleeping giant of the church. Most Christians go to church, do their church thing, and then just live the rest of their lives not really paying attention to the fact that Jesus is coming back at any minute. And to whom much has been given, much will be required. And he wants to see that we have a good return for the investment he's given us. Right?
Let me ask you this question. Have you ever done something, and while you're doing it, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Maybe this will help you understand it better. I took my family to Disney, where all 5 of us went down to Disney. And the kids were they were little. It was like 2007, so it was quite a while ago. And I remember while I was there, I thought to myself, we'll come back and do this again, all 5 of us. And from that time until this time, we've never done it.
Yeah.
Now, so here's my question. Have you ever thought to yourself,
next time we're back.
Yeah, next time we're back, we'll come back. Yeah. When I was in India, I remember looking at the leader and I said, hey, I'll be back. And I've never been back. Yeah. And I went in 2009.
Yeah, I've done it many times.
Right? Where it's like somehow in the moment you think either A, I have more time, or B, I'll come back and I'm gonna return. I'm gonna do this again. Yeah. But you don't. Yeah. Right? And I just think to myself, it's this idea of like being ready. It's this idea of urgency, right? So you always hear in movies, because I'm a movie guy, obviously. So when you hear movies where it says, man, if I would have known that was the last time I was going to talk to him, I would have said this, or if I would have just known this, if I would have just known that, I think in our lives, we probably go through life not realizing the importance of a moment and the urgency of a moment.
Yes.
That's my point.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me, right when I first came to Heritage, I was leading a group. It was Foundations. It was all just theological stuff for new believers. It was really, really great. It lasted quite a long time, and I had this group. So we would always take prayer requests in there, and this guy would always say, hey, pray for me, or pray for my brother that he would meet Jesus. And so after a while, because it was maybe, I forget, 26 weeks or something, how long this class lasted, and I started saying, why don't you start praying that God will give you the opportunity to share the gospel? Who's going to share the gospel with your brother? You're the Christian in his life, right? Mm-hmm. You share the gospel with your brother. And so he began to go, you're right. So then his prayer request shifted. Hey, pray that God gives me an opportunity to share the gospel with my brother. Pray that God gives me and I'm like, why don't you go make an opportunity? Or the fact that it's on your heart, God's trying to nudge you this way. Why don't you just find a way? And over time, we had multiple conversations, and he would usually say, I really don't feel qualified. And I said, all you need to do is tell your story and tell God's story. You know God's story. You know what God did. Here's a couple verses. I gave him the Romans road. All you have to do, write these verses down in your Bible. And I told him, I showed him my dad's New Testament, where my dad loved sharing the gospel with people, couldn't ever remember what the next verse was in the order. And so at the beginning, he wrote Romans 3:23 in the beginning of his Bible. Then right at the end of Romans 3:23, he wrote Romans 6:23. And at the end of Romans 6:23, he wrote 5:8. And then at the end of 5:8, he wrote 9, 10, 13. That's what he did, right? So he just wrote the verse next to it so that he'd remember where to go next in it. And then he just underlined those. I said, just do that. The Bible will lead you through this if you just have a little plan. So he worked all that out. He did all those things. And then I wound up doing his brother's funeral. And he never led his brother to Christ.
Oh, wow. Thanks for that ending of the story.
And it was amazing to me. And that was his statement was, if I had known.
Then his house caught on fire and he got cancer.
Well, no, but he was talking about the fact that this is important to me, it's important to me, it's important to me, but he never did it.
Yeah.
And so after his brother died, he stood there and talked to me. He said, you know what, if I had known the last time I talked to him, because he talked about the last time was 4th of July fireworks. He said, we talked about nothing the whole evening. And he said, I could have shared the gospel with my brother, right? I just remember thinking, man, we do that a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
If we really believe that Jesus is coming back at any minute, if we really believe that every person has an appointment with death, if we really believe in the power of the gospel, we wouldn't wait. And this is what he's saying, is don't wait around. Be prepared. Get ready. And don't live a life of regrets. And I don't think our great regrets in eternity are going to be that we didn't make it to Hawaii. Right? I think our great regrets are going to be the people we didn't share the gospel with. And so this is it right here. To whom much is given, much will be required.
Did I ever tell you when I was raking leaves with my neighbor after living next to him for 10 years, he confronted me and said, why did you never talk to me about God?
Yeah. You told me about that.
Why did you never talk to me about God?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it was quite 10 years, but it was probably like 6 years into the 10 years I lived in Atlanta. And he says, yeah, why did you never do it? And I think I said something to him like, well, I didn't want to be that guy, just because I was the pastor next door and, there's no other pastors in the neighborhood. And I didn't want to be the guy who was always, a churchy guy. And he's like, yeah, except for the fact that I've always wondered about God. I've always wondered about heaven. And I have questions about it. And I was hanging around here hoping you would bring it up.
Yeah. The magician's Penn and Teller?
Mm-mm.
So, the tall guy and the short guy.
Yes.
Short guy's quiet. So Penn Jillette is a pretty vocal atheist, very vocal. He's very intellectual, very intelligent, very compelling speaker, very interesting speaker, very smart. And he's a very vocal atheist. And there's a video online. It's a TikTok thing. And he just picks up his phone. This is all he does. He picks up his phone. So he's sitting in front of his phone. And he goes, hey, listen, I've been thinking about this. Somebody gave him a Bible or something, a New Testament, tried to share the gospel with him. And he said, I don't believe anything that guy says, but I got to say, I really admire his commitment, because he said, if I believed what he believes, that Jesus is the only way and that heaven is real and hell is real, I couldn't stop myself from telling everybody all the time.
Right.
Because the consequences are so big.
Right.
And so he compliments this guy saying, I'm really grateful that this guy did this.
And at the same time, he says, if you're a Christian and you don't act that way.
Yeah, why not?
Right.
And he's questioning, do you really believe it?
Right.
Right? This is what Jesus is saying. These passages when he says you need to keep your lamp lit. What is the lamp? Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. You got to know God's word. Mm-hmm. And then you got to be ready when Jesus returns, and you got to be about his business in between. And that's why he pivots from being ready for the wedding feast he pivots to, hey, you need to be taking care of my servants, right? You got to get out and you don't abuse them. You don't take advantage of them. You serve them. And the way we serve them is by getting the gospel to them, because there's going to be a day when we're going to wish we had. And that's it. So it's not a guilt trip thing. Jesus is trying to say, if you knew what I knew, you would be avoiding the bad part at the end by making sure you're telling everybody right now. That's what he's trying to get everybody to understand. So, don't put it off. If you have somebody in your life that you love that doesn't know Jesus yet, don't wait for a better opportunity, because the best opportunity never comes. Right? If you wait for the best opportunity to invest, you never invest. If you wait for the best opportunity to propose, you rarely ever propose, right? And it's the same thing. If you wait for the best, perfect opportunity, it's not going to happen. Just make it happen. Yeah. And you'll never regret it.
That's awesome. All right. Well, hey, that is our time. So what a great passage. And we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, on the Bible Guys.